Chapter 11. Jake took some of the kids on a bike ride. So I'm going to go as fast as we can and hope that we don't get interrupted. But you never know. So here we go. Chapter 11, Saturday, December 15th. December 15, 2008. Not going to lie, I'm so excited. Today is my first official, not just meditating training. Given our primary goal, to stop a raging bonfire, Gabby thought it would be best to focus on the magic of fire. While I'm excited to do this, I'll be the first to admit, I don't really get why they can't handle the bonfire. Like, why can't Gabby and Ethel do it? Maybe I'll ask Gabby about that today. It was a valid question, of course. Perhaps the question we all ask when tasked with a responsibility for which we feel woefully inadequate. Nikki didn't have much time to dwell on her inadequacies, though, because the purr of an engine told her someone had pulled into the driveway. She put her journal away, left her pre-written note for Margaret on the counter, and darted out the door, locking it before she left. "Hey," Nikki said as she opened the passenger door. "Come on in," Nikki said. "Does your mom know where we're going?" "I left a note," Nikki said, buckling her seatbelt. "Which says," Gabby prodded, "I went to the library with Emma to do homework, and if your mom decides to stop by the library, I'd be sunk," Nikki admitted, starting to undo her seatbelt. Gabby stopped her. "I've got it." Gabby closed her eyes, raised a hand, and pointed it to the house Gabby closed her eyes, raised a hand, and pointed to the house with her 3 middle fingers. "Now it says you're at my house and lists my name, address, and phone number." "Now I am sunk. Less sunk than you'd be if you'd lied," Gabby said, backing out of the driveway. "I guess." "So," Gabby said as she drove, "your dad bound your powers as a baby?" "Yep," Nikki said. "Grandma tell you?" "Yes," Gabby said, watching a red light, her blinker clicking rhythmically. "Figured. Hey, question." "Shoot." Gabby turned left down a winding road. "So girls witches, boys wizards, warlocks, also witches?" Nikki asked. "Witches." Gabby glanced at Nikki and then explained. "Technically, there are wizards, sorcerers, and sorceresses, but it's kind of how doctors can be general doctors, or they can be OBs or podiatrists. So all sharks are fish, but not all fish are sharks," Nikki said. Gabby laughed. "Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. We're all witches, but we go through different trainings after basic training. So I'm doing basic right now." Gabby nodded as she turned right onto her loop. "Yes, and after you've finished, you can always further your education and go more niche if you want." "Like what? Can anyone be anything?" "Yes and no. The various specializations are mostly non-gendered, meaning anyone can do it, but there are certain magics that are gender-specific. For example, certain magics are entrusted only to women," Gabby said, pulling into her driveway. "Like what?" Nikki asked. "Hydromemerology." Gabby unbuckled. "We're here." "Wait," Nikki said, hopping out of the passenger side and closing the door behind her. "You made that up. The hydromorphology thing." Gabby laughed as she opened the front door to a small green house and dropped her keys in a red ceramic bowl on the table in the hall. "Hydromemerology. And it does sound made up, doesn't it? But it's real. It's the study of the memories of water," Gabby said, taking her coat off. "So what do you think?" Nikki had expected an interior similar to Ethel's library. Dark curtains, lots of candles, mythical and magical. Instead, she was met with bright rooms and clean lines. Gabby's decor was a combination of old world and new world. African baskets hung on one wall, and a Brigid goddess set sat on the mantelpiece mantel over the fireplace, and a gold wire basket held some cozy throws next to an emerald green mid-century modern couch. Sprinkled all around were house plants. Each served a magical purpose, but as Nikki had not yet started this study, she just thought them pretty and green. I like it. I thought it would be, Nikki said. More witchy, Gabby offered. Yeah, less normal, Nikki said. People think witches are all black cats, cloaks, and pumpkins, but we're just like humans. We have difference in tastes, and mine are pretty normal, Gabby said as a black and white Maine Coon jumped into her arms. Good boy, Phineas, she cooed, cuddling him for a moment before setting him down. He ran off. Nikki watched as the cat disappeared down the hallway and said, But you have powers. How can you be normal? Rule 1 of normal. There's no such thing as normal. Everyone has something they're scared other people will think is weird or abnormal. Think about a pastry chef. A pastry chef? Nikki asked. Yes. They can create these incredible desserts, and they have a ton of specialty tools they can use. But they don't leave them out everywhere all the time, right? Gabby opened a drawer and removed a few candles. Most chefs do things other than just make pastry. Their whole identity isn't crafted around shoe. Gabby laughed. Magic is obviously bigger than pastry. Gabby placed the candles on the floor, and walked around the room. She pointed next to the candles on the floor and said, Sit there a minute. I want to do a few precautionary spells before we get started. Okay, Nikki said, glad she had chosen yoga pants and a t-shirt instead of her usual summer dress. Okay, warning. This is Latin. I'm going to do my best. I'm so sorry. It's not like anyone out there speaks Latin. It's a dead language, so it's fine. I'm probably saying all of it right. Protegat nos ab igne, protegat nos de flamma, protegat nos sic ut discamus, magica ignis in tuto. Gabby said. But she said it better than I did. As she repeated herself, she walked around the living room, fingers spread, palms down, like she was feeling the air. She looked like a swimmer sculling. All right, I think we're ready. What did you do? Nikki asked. What did you say? I cast a protection spell. It basically keeps us from burning my place down. Gabby sat on the floor across from Nikki. And by us, you mean me, right? Nikki said with a slight frown. Well, yes, Gabby said. In all fairness, when I'm trying any new magic, I always cast protection spells first. I like my place. I don't have to rebuild every time I want to study something new. That makes me feel better, Nikki said. Let's get started. The first thing I want to teach you is how to move fire. Gabby blew on a candle, lighting it. We'll start with the basics. Use your hand to move the fire. We'll move on to the eloquence of breathing fire later on. Have you been taught to meditate? Just once, by Madame Ortega, Nikki said. We'll start there. Once your mind is quieted and focused, let me know, Gabby said. They both closed their eyes and sat in silence for a little while. The cat came in and rubbed himself on Gabby's arm and under her chin before curling up in front of her, leaning against her crossed ankles. After a little while, Nikki said, I'm ready. Do you remember where the candles are without opening your eyes? Yes. Which one is lit? Nikki thought for a moment. The one on my right. Now, using your hand, move the flame from the right candle to the left in whatever hand motion feels most natural to you, Gabby said. Okay. Nikki put up her right hand, palm up, fingers slightly spread, index finger pointing in the direction of the lit candle. As she tried focusing on the flame, she furrowed her brows. Open your eyes, Gabby said quickly. Nikki did and saw the flame had quadrupled in size. It wasn't an out-of-control fire, but the flame was unnaturally large for the pillar candles they were using. As she and Gabby watched it, it shrunk back down to its original size. Did I? Nikki asked. What were you thinking about? I was thinking it would be easier to feel the flame if it was larger, Nikki admitted. Kate wasn't kidding when she said you've got a lot of power, Gabby said, petting her cat. Let's try again. They did the exercise 3 more times, and each time Nikki succeeded only in making the flame larger. "I don't think I can do this," Nikki finally said. "Of course you can. You're just overthinking it." Gabby smiled at her softly. As a recovering overthinker, she recognized the symptoms. "So what? I'm just supposed to wave my hand and move the flame?" Nikki said, and as if to prove her own incompetence, she flicked her hand from the right to the left. To the surprise of Nikki, but not Gabby, the flame moved. It simply hopped from one candle to the next. "I did it?" "You did it," Gabby said with a laugh. "I don't understand how I did that." She flicked her head again from left to right. This time the flame jumped back to the right candle. "Or that. Even though you haven't gotten used to your magic until now, it's still been inside you growing and maturing. That's how you're able to summon living, breathing animals on your first day," Gabby said. "I wouldn't have minded if the octopus had been a little less alive when it attacked me in the shower," Nikki said, still flicking her hand and making the flame jump from one candle to the other and back again. "Octopus?" I wasn't even thinking about an octopus. I don't remember what I was thinking about, but I know I deliberately thought about it disappearing as soon as its... Nikki wiggled her fingers and made a face. "Tentacles?" Gabby guessed, laughing. "It wasn't funny," Nikki insisted, even though she was laughing too. "As soon as its tentacles went for my feet," she mocked, gagged. "Very impressive. Very gross is more like it." "I think you've got the hang of moving fire," Gabby said. "Yeah, it's actually easier than I thought." Nikki moved the flame again with a flick of her fingers. "You were overthinking," Gabby said. "I have a tendency to do that," Nikki admitted, moving the flame again. "Me too," Gabby admitted. "Now try to put the flame out this time." "I'm guessing I can't just blow it out," Nikki asked, raising one eyebrow. Gabby smiled. "Magical fire can only be extinguished by magic." Nikki closed her eyes, stretched her hand out again. She moved her fingers down, closing her hand into a fist. She peeked through one eye and saw the flame was gone. But when she put her hand down, the flame popped back up as though it was atop a trick candle. Nikki's shoulders slumped. "Try again," Gabby said. "It's important you learn how to figure this out for yourself. There will come a time when you'll need to do something you've never learned, and you'll have to figure out how to do it." Nikki nodded and closed her eyes. She focused, repeating in her mind, "No flame, no fire, no light, nulla lux," she whispered. The flame went out. "I thought you said you haven't been trained," Gabby said, the surprise evident in her voice. "I haven't," Nikki said. "Did I do something wrong?" "Not exactly. How did you know that spell?" "What spell?" "Nulla lux. It's a spell to put out small fires." Worry lined Gabby's face. "Have you studied Latin?" "No, I take French, but I'm not very good." "Wait, what do you mean it's a spell? How could I know a spell without knowing I knew it?" Nikki furrowed her brow. "I'm not sure. I've never heard of it before." Then again, Gabby admitted and added, "I'm not privy to every single magical event in the history of magic. Still, I need to talk to Kate about it." "Are spells bad?" Nikki watched the unlit candle as it released its very last wisps of smoke into the air. "Not necessarily," Gabby said, trying to smile reassuringly as she patted Nikki's hand. "It's just... Kate and I are of the school of thought that spells should be saved until mastery has been achieved. Spells can be kind of a shortcut, and if witches get too reliant on spells, they can get trapped by them. Like not knowing how to do something without a spell." "Exactly." Gabby got up and wrote a few notes in a notebook. "Okay, let's try again. Sans spell, please." Gabby sat back down and relit the candle with a wave of her hand. "Are there rules in magic?" Nikki asked, adjusting her seat and stretching her legs. "Technically, yes and no. There are rules about magic for magical beings, but magic itself doesn't abide by rules. Think of magic, and this is all magic, not just earth magic, as a wild animal. It can be trained within reason. It can be more or less read, but it will always be wild and unpredictable. A witch's most powerful tool is her adaptability." Nikki nodded. They spent the next half hour working on the extinguishing exercise. Then Gabby taught Nikki how to light the candle. Once she had that down, Gabby had Nikki perform all 3 steps: lighting the candle, moving the flame around a few times, and then extinguishing it. Nikki repeated the cycle until she couldn't get it wrong, until she could do everything on her first try. The last thing Gabby taught Nikki was how to do the fire magic protection spell so Nikki could practice safely at home. After 2 hours of practice and double-checking Nikki had mastered the fire magic protection spell, Gabby took Nikki home. December 15th, 2008. I know I said I'd never tell anyone, so this is going to sound crazy, but I decided I have to tell Wyatt. I mean, not have to, but like I personally need to tell him. I need him in my life, and we've never had secrets. I don't want to start now. I might not be able to surf, but that doesn't mean I have to lose everything. I'm already at the cove. He should be here in half an hour. Nellie sat in the sand and watched the early morning mist slowly clear as the sun warmed the sky. She pulled her hands into the sleeves of her sweatshirt and stood jumping around. Checking her watch, Nellie figured she'd set up. It was already 1:15. She still had 15 minutes before Wyatt was supposed to come. Carrying an extra bikini bottom and towel, she walked over to the water line. Nellie put both items down close to the water, but far enough away that they would stay dry. She wanted easy access to covering up. "You're here early." Felt like ages since she had heard that voice. "So are you," Nellie said, trying to keep the nerves out of her voice. "So, what's up?" Wyatt asked, trudging down through the sand towards her. His hair was all sticky-outy from sleeping. He had on board shorts and his Otter Sands Surf Club hoodie, complete with a yellow surfing otter graphic. The blue of his hoodie brought out the blue in his eyes. Not that Nellie ever noticed. No, really. She never noticed. Between you and me, it wouldn't be the last time she missed the obvious. But back to their conversation. "First, I'm going to tell you. Then, when you don't believe me, I'm going to show you." "Why wouldn't I?" "And," Nellie held up a hand to him, "this will be way less painful if you don't interrupt." She took off her sweatpants, wadded them up, and threw them back toward all her things. "Here goes," she said under her breath. "Are you insane? It's freezing," Wyatt said, gesturing to her abandoned pants. "No, interrupting," Nellie said, pointing a finger at him. "On my birthday, I went surfing with Joe. I looked down and my skin was a different color, and not just tanner than usual," she added, knowing he was going to make some snide remark. "It was green. Now, not like I'm the Hulk green, but definitely not normal green. I came here a few days later to see if maybe it was a fluke. Maybe the sun was messing with my head. Maybe I drank too much salt water." She pulled off her sweatshirt and threw it. A shiver moved through her skin that had nothing to do with the cold. "It was a fluke, all right. A fluke I didn't change completely the first time. Nellie shook her head and rolled her eyes. "I turn into a mermaid when I get into the ocean now." She looked at Wyatt. Wyatt scoffed, speechless. Finally, when he found words, he said, "Wow. What a load of bull. If you're not even going to be serious." He started walking back up to the beach. "Told you," Nellie murmured. She walked up to him and yanked his hoodie off. He was so startled he didn't even fight her. She grabbed his hand, dragging him to the water line. She snatched up her extra bikini bottom. "Hold this," she said, shoving it into his free hand and pulling him around in front of her. "Whoa, whoa," he said as she shoved him into the water. "Go," she said, giving him a final shove, which resulted in him falling face first into the water. She dived under the waves and came up just as he spluttered to the surface. "What the heck, dude?" Wyatt said, wiping his face with his hands. "The water's freezing. What kind of sick game?" "Wyatt," Nellie shouted, "look at me." "You're wet," he said, glancing at her. Raindrops began to patter on the surface of the water. "Great," he mumbled sarcastically. "Now it's raining, too." "Look at me," she repeated, practically shoving her hand in his face, trying to show him the webbing. Huffing, he turned and pulled back a bit before taking her hand. His eyes narrowed as he ran a finger over the webbing. He looked at her, really studying her. This time, Wyatt saw all the subtle differences. "Your eyes. They're not blue anymore, they're green," he said, his hair plastered to his face. "And your skin." "It's not just my skin," Nellie said, pulling her hand from him. The rain poured on them. Nellie leaned back, her long, sleek black tail sliced through the surface of the muddled water. I knew you wouldn't believe me. I knew I'd have to show you. There was a long silence before he finally asked, What happened to you? Let's get out of the rain and I'll tell you, Nellie said. But first, give me those. She pointed to the neon green bottoms in his hands. But and you don't have, because you've got a... Wyatt held on to the bikini bottoms, randomly switching from putting both hands on his head to gesturing to Nellie to moving his arms about. Wyatt! He looked at her, eyes wide. Give me the bottoms and get out of the water, Nellie said slowly. He stared at her. I need the bottoms, Nellie said again. When speech found him again, Wyatt spluttered. What about your other... He raised his eyebrows. Oh, the whole... He gestured toward all of her. Right. He tossed them over. He walked mechanically out of the water and grabbed Nellie's now soaking towel. Nellie crawled into the shallower water, grateful for the rain blurring the water enough to maintain her privacy. Not that Wyatt would have looked anyway. It only took a few moments of most of her body being out of the water for her to change back. She pulled the bottoms on and got out. You can turn around now, Nellie said to Wyatt, who had his back towards her. He didn't turn around. The rain rained loudly. The rain raged loudly. The rain rained loudly. Who writes this? The rain raged loudly. It was almost a storm. Nellie ran up to Wyatt and grabbed her towel, wrapping it around herself. You know you don't need to close your eyes if your back is to me anyway, right? She yelled. What? Wyatt yelled back, opening his eyes. Come on. Nellie pulled him along. She didn't need to pull far before he followed. He grabbed his flip-flops and his soaked hoodie from where it had been carelessly tossed by Nellie earlier. She was a few steps ahead of him, throwing her now drenched sweatpants over her shoulder and grabbing her duffel. They made the hike up the street and hopped inside her truck. Up to the street and hopped inside her truck. What happened to you? Wyatt repeated his question from earlier. The rain pattered on the steel of the truck. Here. Nellie tossed him an extra towel. She always kept a few spares inside the truck. It was not her first time getting caught in the rain. Wrapped in a spare blanket, she toweled off her hair. Genetics, apparently, she said. What do you mean? Is your dad my mom? She was the one who could change. Are you a mutant? Wyatt asked. What? Nellie looked at him. Seriously? He just stared at her. Oh my gosh. She put her palm to her forehead. No, I'm not a mutant. Wait, what about that medicine that surf company wanted you to try? It was a sports drink, Wyatt. Nellie rolled her eyes. You drank it, didn't you? That's why you're a mutant. I'm not a mutant. I bet the government is behind sports drinks. They're trying to make super fish people soldiers. This is not the government, Nellie snapped. How do we fix this? Wyatt looked at his broken friend. You can't, Nellie said, a bit dejectedly. I tried everything. The only way for me to not change is to not get into the ocean. What if we contact the government and we tell them you'll use your mutant powers against them unless I'm not a mutant? Nellie whacked Wyatt's shoulder. And for the last time, this isn't the government's fault. There were a few moments of silence. Wyatt said, So, what now? What are you going to do? What can I do? I tried wearing a wetsuit and surfing, but I fell in and my suit got shredded. Nellie said, shaking her head. That's why I haven't been surfing anymore. I can't. I'm done. I don't know what to say, Wyatt admitted. At least you know why now, Nellie shrugged. Who else knows about this? Nikki and Emma. Who? Wyatt frowned. They're in Miranda's class with us. The group history project. The tall one and the weird blonde one with the stuff in her hair? That's them. You told them before you told me? Wyatt asked excuse me. You told them before you told me? Wyatt asked almost too quietly to hear. No, you're the first person I've told, Nellie sighed. But I think they might have known about it before even I knew, she mumbled. She sighed again, loudly and with her whole body. What I mean is, I think Emma already knew, and Nikki figured it out from hanging out with Emma. I was going to tell them, but then Nikki was all, we know, and Nikki kept telling me they needed me and my powers. Nellie let it all spill out. She told Wyatt everything about how Emma knew Jess Pedersen when no one else did, about how Madame Ortega read her cards and her palm. I found a typo. Gave her a reading and read her palm, and about the first time she changed and how painful and terrifying it was. Everything Nellie had been holding in came pouring out. It was the catharsis she had needed since the very beginning. The only thing Nellie left out was the fact that Emma and Nikki weren't exactly normal teenagers themselves. Those weren't her secrets to tell. So they want your help? Wyatt asked when she was finished. Yeah. Don't. What? What do you mean don't? Nellie asked. Don't help them. Why should you? Wyatt put his hands up. I know you think all this stuff started because of your genetics, but it shouldn't have started a long time ago. But it didn't until you started hanging out with Emma and Nikki, right? What if it wasn't the government after all? What if Emma and Nikki are the ones doing this to you? Why should you help them? Why should you even trust them? Wyatt said. That doesn't even make sense. Besides, I got the feeling I could trust them, Nellie said, shrugging. Like you got the feeling you could ride that monster wave at the break? Wyatt said, scoffing. I mastered it eventually, Nellie retorted. After a trip to the emergency room and 3 months on crutches, Wyatt said. A month and a half. It was supposed to be 3 months. My point is you nearly killed yourself, and that was doing something you've been doing your whole life. This stuff is new to you. So what if you have powers? Why should you help them? Why should you even use them? What if you blow yourself up? Wyatt said. Fair point. Except what? I don't have any powers. All I do is turn into a fish. Nellie threw her towel at him. He ducked. Wyatt, Nellie said after a minute. Thanks for not completely freaking out. Well, it's just my first time seeing my best friend turn into a fish. What is there to freak out about? Wyatt said. And for the first time in a long time, Nellie laughed. Sorry, we got a fly in here. 15 December 2008. I can't shake this. I'm missing something. There's some piece of the puzzle I should have had by now. There's something I should have figured out. Emma put down her drink. Stupid fly. Sorry, it's flying literally right on the page. Emma put her journal down and picked up her phone. She wrote a quick text message to Nikki. Any chance we could meet up today? And hit send. Maybe I'm overreacting. It wouldn't be the first time, but my instincts say something is wrong. I want to tell Nikki about this feeling. Maybe we could meditate and get this figured out, but I don't want to say anything until I know for sure she can meet up. Emma waited, lightly drumming her fingers on her desk. Her phone dinged. Nikki. Prob not, but I can try. Mom is still super PO'd about my magic training this morning. Emma. How did that go? Nikki. Super good. Gabby taught me some protection spells so I can practice at home. Emma. What are you practicing? Nikki. Lighting a candle, then moving the flame around. Gab called it basic control, and then putting it out. Prob the most important part for the bonfire. Emma. Sounds awesome. Nikki. Something freaky happened too. I did a spell without knowing any spells. Emma. Is that even possible? Nikki. Apparently, but Gabby said she'd never heard of it happening before. Also, asked my mom about meeting you at the library, and she said no. Emma. No worries. See you Monday. Emma sighed and grabbed a pillow, throwing it on the floor. She meditated for over an hour, but she couldn't focus properly. She was too worried about what she would see, or worse, what she wouldn't see. End of chapter 11. So, if you are in the Murray area of Utah, I will be at Barnes & Noble tomorrow from 12 to about 5 with copies of A Change of Tide and An Obscured Glass. And I'll be signing them. And I will have our matching bookmarks along so you can find the hidden message inside. And as always, if you just can't wait and you just got to know what happens next, you can pick up a copy on Amazon. I'll leave a link, which YouTube might let you click on. Maybe not. No one knows. I've been posting pretty consistently for over 2 months, and they're still like, no, I don't think you get clickable links, even though everybody else gets them after 2 months. So it's fine.